Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit HBCUPrideJoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
The Cuvee Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvee.
For my people that don't get to see me, trying to remind you who you are, just like in Romans 3. See, we about to blow across the world just like a day that's breezy. This motivation for the people and this classic Bible teaching say, make this for my people that don't get to see me, trying to remind you who you are, just like in Romans 3. See, we about to blow across the world just like a day that's breezy. This motivation for the people and this classic Bible teaching, hey, 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 motivation.
Are you ready? It's time. The inaugural Urban Nerdcon is coming to Montgomery, Alabama, July 29th through the 31st. Blurs, nerds, and geeks from across the universe will converge on the capital city to see celebrity guests such as The Last Dragon, Tybok, Megan Tandy, and voice actor Dave Fennoy.
Hey, how you doing? I'm voice actor Dave Fennoy with a shout out to all my geeks, freaks, and urban nerds. Just want to let you know I'm going to be there and I want to meet you at the Urban Nerdcon Gaming and Cosplay event. It's happening July 29th through the 31st in Montgomery, Alabama. Hope you want to meet me as much as I want to meet you.
So join us by visiting theurbannerdcon.net for ticket and vendor information. This will be the premier blurred event in the universe. Theurbannerdcon.net. Our heroes, our villains, our stories, everyone's con. See you there.
Let's get back to strolling instead of scrolling. Before we can safely come together, we need the facts on COVID-19 vaccines. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision for yourself and for your fam.
That's a pretty tight spot.
Watch this.
Of course your Buick parks itself. That's so you.
It's just up here on the right.
Of course you know where we're going. That's so you.
Kinda got a sixth sense.
And a head-up display.
They're here.
Hit the field, warm up. You brought all these players in your Buick?
Yeah.
So you.
It is.
There's a Buick that fits your life, because at the heart of every Buick SUV is you.
Q Time is our classic Atlanta soul food restaurant located in the historic West End. Q Time Soul Food is a family business started by Fred and Christine Crenshaw. Come on in, relax, and sink your chops into our tantalizing, mouth-watering, distinctive soul food with a twist, the Q Time way. 1120 Ralph David Abernathy Boulevard, or call your order in at 404-758-2881. Do you miss your mama's cooking? Then come on down to Q Time, an Urban Passport member.
We're all about feeding your family with meat and plant-based protein that's good for the planet, good for you, and just plain good. That's all the protein you need, all on your plate.
Some carriers will give you just one measly entertainment subscription. One is no fun. With Verizon, there's up to 7 entertainment subscriptions with your unlimited plan. That's 7 times the... 7 times the... No. 7 times the... Music, gaming, Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus, and more. That's 7 times the entertainment. Because everyone deserves better. And with plans starting at just $35, better costs less than you think.
Can I get the now bar, please? $1. Have a good one.
Got it.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
Let me get a now bar.
Sure.
$1.
Appreciate you.
Got it.
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit. Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio. That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the BCSN SportsWrap live, heading into season number 7. Is it 7 or 6, Drew? 6?
6, yes.
Okay.
5 video, 1 audio.
Thank you for being the voice of the public record. So heading into season number 7, as you noticed, a new intro for those who are watching on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, courtesy of Drew. Sort of a test intro. You know, we'll see how long that stays. But props to AD Drew for working on that. Music's still the same. I kind of like the music. I like the music. You know,
It's our theme song. You remember, I'm gonna get you, sucker. Every band everybody has to have a theme song.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I'm old. Of course, I remember that song. You know, you tell somebody young, and they're like, "Who? Somebody made a movie called what?"
The Wayans brothers before they were the Wayans brothers, and
every
the
man's
whole
got to
Wayans
have a
family.
theme song. Yeah, every
Yes,
man's got to have a theme song. Yes, sir. I'm Brian Fulford. That's AD Drew, and it's a pleasure to be on tonight as we are getting closer and closer to the start of the 2021 fall season I'm sure for football, of course, but also volleyball, other fall sports that'll be kicking off. Schools will be kicking up sometime. Well, actually, a lot of camps will be kicking in the early part of August. Before you know it, students will be back on campus, and the seasons will begin. And so, you know, we're probably 40. I'm going to say 40-something days. Let me see quick math here. I know 45 days
50.
was Wednesday. 45 days was Wednesday from week 0.
Yeah.
So let me see. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we're 40 days. 40 days from week 0, the start of week 0.
Yeah.
Yeah, unofficial count, you know. So, yeah, we're looking forward to it. Obviously, media days, football media days have begun. The SIAC had theirs most recently this past week. first time in 3 years that they were actually able to have a live, media day and have everybody in attendance. That was attended by myself, Jamie Walker, producer Roy, Faith Daniels was there as well. So appreciate everybody who tuned in and watched. Had a chance. That was a good opportunity. We'll kind of go through some notes. I thought Jamie did a good post on Twitter with some of the notes and takeaways from that. So we'll kind of maybe recap this and even go through some of the graphics that we had. Drew, I know we had some little graphic packages that we had put together, but I think we always underestimate how that setting works. And so it was so rapid fire, I don't think we had a true opportunity to kind of get to some of those graphics. So how are you doing? Well, I missed you at Media Day. But how are things going for you?
Yeah, I had a little bit of technical difficulties on my way to Atlanta. But other than that, I'm doing fine, my brother. Just doing fine. Just ready to get into, this is supposed to be the off season, but this week has been a busy week for HBCU sports, my brother.
Yeah, thankfully. I think June was kind of brutal. I don't know if June was as fulfilling as July has been. A lot of juicy topics running around. I think we got past the dog days of June, and before you know it, here we are in July, and it's time to go, man. It's go time pretty much. I mean, from here on out, we'll be talking about every type of preseason and analyst or analytical breakdown of the season will happen over the next 40 days, I'm sure.
6 weeks, yeah. Well, this year, June was very anticlimactic considering what we've had happen the last 2 Junes, Brian, with conference churning and rumors of conference churning. Once Howard put to bed the baby that they were moving to the NEC, it was really kind of anticlimactic for HBCU sports fans for the month of June.
Yeah, definitely. If you're watching us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, please make sure you're following the Black College Sports Network at MyBCSN1, the number 1. Go ahead and download that Jericho Broadcast Network's app on your Google and Apple Play Store. It's where you can always find all of the shows that are part of the Black College Sports Network. That's our show. That's Dr. Cavilla's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, which airs every Tuesday and Thursday. The ONG Strike Zone, which airs on Wednesday night. You can also find the Carlos Brown Show on Saturdays as well. And who knows, there might be some new shows popping up here in the next few weeks as we get ready for the upcoming season. You can also catch all of our podcasts, and every now and then we'll drop podcast exclusive content such as Charles Edmonds' Brave Talk, in which Charles, who's the voice of Alcorn State sports, he does some great interviews and one-on-ones with some of the coaches. So that appears on the podcast network as well. The BCSN Pod Zone, available everywhere you listen and download podcasts. All right, Drew, so as we get into some of the news and notes for this week, obviously a big portion of the show, we'll get into talking about the preview for the CIAA and the SWAC, who have their media days this week. We'll also kind of recap the SIAC. But let's start with some of the bigger news that's more recent, and we'll start by going out to Jackson, Mississippi, where the XFL had their HBCU showcase. And, if Jackson State already didn't have enough star power floating around campus, well, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, this is an interesting dynamic. He and his ex-wife, who are the CEOs, are the co-CEOs of this reboot league. They bought the rights to the league from WWE, I believe, from Vince McMahon's group, and restarted the XFL. Of course, they're a year behind the USFL, which, by the way, Drew, the USFL finished up their opening season, and pretty successful year, I think, according to some of the metrics. But The another league is starting up, another pro league, so it gives more opportunities to guys, and those guys who didn't get a shot or an opportunity at the USFL League will get a chance at the XFL League. Of course, everybody working to try to get a shot at the NFL. So yeah, they some of the names that appeared in this, and I'm reading from the Clarion Ledger. Some of the names that appeared, of course, you had Aquill Glass of Alabama A&M who was in attendance. You had Jackson State linebacker, former SWAC Defensive Player of the Year, Keontae Hampton was in attendance. I know Alcorn State Offensive Player of the Year, quarterback. Oh, my God. Come on, Drew. Jump in there with the name. Felix Harper, he was in attendance. Tyron Ralph, the wide receiver for Arkansas Pine Bluff, UAPB, was in attendance. David Watford, a quarterback from Hampton, who actually spent some time with the Philadelphia Eagles, also in the CFL. He was in attendance. So those are just some of the names that were in attendance. Drew, your thoughts on? And I think, well, before we go, I think we may have some video. Drew, any thoughts you want to add in before we go to the video on The Rock and the XFL showing up in Jackson?
No, just a great opportunity for these young men to show off their skills to possibly further their athletic career. Don't think it's a coincidence that this happened at Jackson State, where Coach Prime is the head coach. Happened at their practice facility there in Jackson, Mississippi. So shout out to Coach Prime. I don't know if Coach Prime reached out to The Rock or The Rock reached out to Coach Prime, or where the connection was as far as putting this thing together. But shout out to the Jackson State staff and everyone else who was there a part of this to help give these young men an opportunity. Because like Prime said, and not quite sure if it was in the video that we're going to watch or the video that I saw on the Full Letter Network, but you know, some of these people in this at this camp whooped his butt on Saturday. So, you know, for him to invite them into his house to give them the opportunity to move on to the next level is just an ultimate level of respect.
All right. And our video comes courtesy of the pregame show. Our friends, of course, Neely and Charles Bishop do a great job with their exclusive content covering all things Jackson State. So let's quickly go to the video from their appearance, or from, I should say, The Rock's appearance this past weekend in Jackson, Mississippi.
Looking at this, Coach Rock, what are you looking for? Right now we're looking at skill set. We're looking at agility. We're looking at speed, quickness.
Check the volume,
producer. The grit. That's what you're looking at, the grit. How they finish the drill, how they run through. Because everybody is coachable. They've all been tested. They've all been battle tested. Now let's take a look at 41.
Don't guess.
He's running through. But it's that kind of extra effort that we look for too, because that indicates the kind of effort that you're going to get down the line. When you're tired, you're breathing heavy, you feel like you got nothing left in the tank, it's that extra effort.
Go. Don't shuffle, man. Don't shuffle. Come to me. Get the numbers. 51. Good to go. Go. Get up. Next number. Go for the fire up. Run through that. Bend. Get the numbers. Go through that.
Okay, I think we're back now. I couldn't hear anything in my headset, so hopefully that did go out.
It was going out. It did go out.
Great.
I was watching the feed on it, so it did go out. And shout out to Neely Bishop and Alexis Dealey, who is the person who works behind the scenes with the two old heads putting this stuff together. Call them the old heads because they're our age, so I can call them old heads affectionately. But shout out to them for going out and capturing this type of atmosphere and these same things happening on Jackson State's campus.
Yeah, I was doing a quick gather of some of the names and coaches. We do know one of the coaches. Some of the coaches that will be a part of this include Reggie Barlow, former Alabama State and Virginia State head coach, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Anthony Becht, Terrell Buckley, T-Buck, Jim Haslett, Wade Phillips, Bob Stoops, the legend Bob Stoops, Hines Ward, and Rod Woodson. Excuse me, not Woodson. Rod Woodson. So those are just, I don't know where that came from.
Right. Did Terrell Buckley replace Deion at Florida State? Was he the corner who came directly behind Deion?
Probably, yeah. I believe it was T-Buck. Yeah. Yeah, he had a 13-year career because he came in, let's see, he was the 5th overall selection by the Packers in 82. So he came in 88. So, yeah, I believe T-Buck came in kind of right after Deion at Florida State.
Yeah.
13-year career, won a Super Bowl. And, of course, as I mentioned, most notably Reggie Barlow, who spent 6 seasons at Virginia State. And I think prior to that was at Alabama State, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. And he also played in the league.
Yeah. So good opportunity for those coaches. A dose of experience on the field, off the field. Just guys trying to take it to the professional level there. So interesting to see. And, we continue to wait and see whether guys like Aquil Glass will get an opportunity. And so there's that. Yeah. So, hey, let's kind of transition for a second, Drew. Another interesting story note that came out, and this is SWAC related more so to the commissioner, and that's the commissioner, Dr. Charles McClellan, who was named the chair of the Division I men's basketball committee for the 23-24 season. And I what's amazing about that, there are a handful of power positions in the NCAA process. One being the chairman of the selection of the college football playoff selection committee. The other being the chairman of the Division I basketball committee. Now, Dr. McClellan, if I'm not mistaken, has been on this committee since 2019. And so for this season, the 22-23 year, he'll be the vice chair, which, he'll be working alongside Chris Reynolds, who's the director of athletics at Bradley University. And then he will take over the position as the head person for the following year. So to quote Dr. McClellan, said, "It's a tremendous honor to be selected by my colleagues, and I'm very excited to continue the important work of the men's basketball committee. In my opinion, the NCAA tournament is the greatest sporting event in the world. We will continue to work tirelessly to ensure the future success of this great enterprise." Here's what's pretty interesting about the basketball function of the NCAA, Drew, versus football. Two separate worlds. Because
football is not a function of the NCAA. Let's clarify that. Football is a separate entity. The CFP does not operate under the auspices of the
but let me back up.
NCAA.
That statement that you just made is not entirely true, because football is a function in the NCAA in every level except at
championship level,
FBS level. Division I
FBS.
FBS, which is essentially what, the top 120
some odd schools.
30 something schools. Of course, 65 of those,
131,
and 60-something, 65, probably definitely less than 70 of those are the power brokers, the considered Power Five. They're the ones who control everything. And so what that leaves is this everything else under that, where you have FCS, which consists of about 100 and how many schools? 133?
I will tell you in just a moment.
Rough guess. We don't have to be exact. Don't waste time. It's 130 something, right? I know you want to be exact.
It's off by one. That's all I remember. One of them has 131. One of them has 130.
I'm going to say FCS has 130.
No. If BS has 131, if CS has 130, there are 163.
That's what I just said. That's what I just said.
If BS has one more than CS.
Yeah. Okay.
If Division 2 has 163 schools.
So where I was going with all that is two separate worlds. The fact that football, the NCAA invests in running championships at the FCS level, the Division 2 and Division 3 level, and every other sport, pretty much every other sport in collegiate athletics. And so when you look at the money that comes into college basketball is it significant? Put it like this. When the college football power brokers saw what the basketball tournament made, they got greedy. And they realized, if college basketball can bring in $1 billion through the tournament, and that gets filtered down to, 230, well, actually more than 230 something
261.
Right, because now you're talking about 30 something schools that don't play football, but they're Division 1. So that's 260 some odd schools that are getting a piece of that $1 billion.
I think basketball is like 305, 307 total for basketball.
Yeah.
Low
So
threes.
anyway, it's just an interesting world. And it brings up this thought, Drew, that, will there be a day that the football playing schools of the Power 5 break away from the NCAA, and how that'll affect other sports and how that affect basketball? And I just wonder if that's one of those questions or one of those things that Dr. McClellan's group, that basketball committee, whether they even have to worry about that or whether they entertain that thought. I mean, we talk about those kind of things in our spaces, but I just kind of wonder if that's a conversation that pops up. Because remember, everybody on that committee is practically athletic directors of some sort or conference commissioners.
Correct.
Right, or key contributors to college athletics, right?
Yes. Well, it's a conversation that they have, but I don't think they have it within the confines of that committee. It's a conversation that they have to have at their own institution and within their conferences for the conference commissioners. But let's be real, Brian. Dr. McClellan next year will chair the most powerful committee in NCAA athletics. Why is it the most powerful committee? Because it's the one that makes the most money. It's just that simple. If you chair the committee that makes the most money, you then, by whatever words you want to use, it osmosis or whatever, become the most powerful person for that particular time as the chair of that committee. So he gets to chair the most powerful committee for the NCAA. The Division I basketball tournament brings in more money to these schools than any other sport, with the exception. And you can't say football because the money from football is not controlled by the NCAA. That's why basketball becomes the most powerful committee and the biggest breadwinner for NCAA school. Remember 2020, everyone? Remember how schools were hurting with the cancellation of the men's basketball tournament? Not the women's tournament, not spring sports. They were hurting from the cancellation of the men's basketball tournament because they did not get those checks. That's why these mid majors position themselves to try to get 2 to 3 bids. That's why these major schools in basketball, the Power Six in basketball, want 7, 8, and 9 bids because every bid that they get is more money for the institution, but it's also more money for the conference that goes into the conference pot. Because I believe that money gets split up something like 60-40 with the schools. And then that 40 gets redistributed. The conference gets its portion out of it, and the rest of it gets redistributed back to the institutions. So the more schools that make the tournament for your conference, the more money you get. Well, in single bid leagues, such as the SWAC and the BIAC, that's why it's important that they put themselves in position to get more people into the tournament. But yes, kudos, Dr. McClellan.
And despite being one of the most powerful people in the NCAA world, there will still be people.
We will not get an extra team in the tournament, y'all.
There was still right that and people will still be complaining that somehow he's not doing enough for the SWAC and is not leading the SWAC down the right path because of some television rights deals that everybody is being and complaining about. So,
but you know something? Hold on, Brian. Now, if you go back, and I think we had this interview about 3-4 years ago when Dr. McClellan first got on the committee.
Mm-hmm.
He told everyone what the formula was for the SWAC to go from a lower major to a mid major, which would give them the opportunity to get more or get a possible second bid. He said how the scheduling model has to be put together. I don't know whether it was our show, Dr. Cuvee's show. It was somewhere on this network. We had this conversation on what the formula was for basketball teams to get it, how they have to go with a certain scheduling model in order to get it. And basically, you have to play so many tier 1, tier 2s, and tier 3 teams, because unfortunately most of the teams in the SWAC are going to be tier 4 teams. But not only do you have to play those teams, you have to beat those teams with those opportunities. Now, for the tier 4 to be the tier 1, maybe once every 4 to 5 years you're going to see a SWAC team beat a tier 1 team, such as FAMU did a couple of years ago when they upset Iowa State. Yes.
And by tier 1, you're speaking of the Power 6 basketball programs. When you say tier 1, just to let everybody know, you're talking the Power 6
not only,
programs.
Not only the powers, not only they're going to come out those conferences, but they're going to be the upper half of those conferences, because the lower half of those conferences, some of those are tier 2 teams.
Really? Okay. Good to know.
Yes.
Okay.
Some of those are tier 2 teams. So you got to think about it. That's a tier 1 team. Basically, you think about it: 75, 75, 75, 75. Tier 1, 2, 3, and 4. There are some big majors. There are some mid major conferences that have teams in that tier 1, i.e., a Gonzaga, who is not a Power 6, who is not a Power 6 team. Some of your West Coast teams. And for those who don't know what the 6 conference is, it's the Big East. The A10 is probably the highest tier 2 conference that you would have outside the Power 6. The Big East is considered a Power 6 of basketball. So your Creightons and your Butlers, some of those teams are tier 1 teams, even though they aren't in those Power 6 conferences that you're thinking about, Ryan.
What do you think HBCU Twitter would want more? A second team in the basketball tournament, or more games broadcast, or more football games broadcast on more platforms? That's just a rhetorical question, Drew, that you don't have to try to
they
answer.
Want the football game. They want football. They want the football games, right? They can care less about the money from the basketball tournament. They just want to be able to click on ESPN3 a little more often, or ESPNU a little bit more often.
Actually, I should have rephrased that question. Do they want more? Do they want a second team in the tournament, or more games on ESPN 1 or ESPN 2? That should have been the question,
Brian.
Because right now, what you're getting right now is not satisfactory to anybody, apparently. So,
in order for us to get a second team in the tournament, Brian, first we got to get out the first four. Once we get out the first four,
home. The first four is home right now.
Yeah,
that's home.
And honestly, it does you no good to get out the first four unless you're going to be 11 seed. Unless you're going to be 11 seed.
You get out of the first four, you get a credit.
No,
yes, you do.
You didn't let me finish.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Okay. Finish your statement.
It does us no. Let me rephrase it. It
does us no good to get out the first four. Part of your statement.
I should have said it does us no good to get out the first four game unless we get to 11 seed or higher. Because in the first four game, we have an opportunity to get a win and to get that credit for that first round, get the money and the credit for that first round victory. Us going in as a number 16, like who was the number 16 last year?
But hold on, Drew. If it's about money, if you go to the first four and get a win,
right,
versus
that's
some other 16 seed that goes to the tournament and doesn't get a win, what would you rather have? Some money or no money?
But that's why I say unless we get an 11 or higher seed, which means when you have a legitimate chance to win, your 6-11 line is where you always have your upsets. So you have a legitimate chance to win on as an 11 seed. You have almost no chance. I mean, this is not Hampton from the early 90s where 15 is going to win. This is not who else has picked up some victories. I believe Norfolk hasn't gone too far. Who was it? Maryland? Was it Maryland Eastern Shore? No, Coppin. It was Coppin who got a win as a 14, Shore, really? I believe. Come on now. No, Coppin got a win as a 14, I believe, at one point in time in the 90s. But other than that, it's not gonna happen, Brian.
Yeah. Hey, I already see more people. I mean, the few folks who are commenting in Twitter on YouTube already have said they'd rather have a second team in the tournament than So hey, I mean, trust me, I would too. I'd rather see a second team. And yes, I wish we can go back and find that model. But then again, like I said, Drew, we hear
it's in the archive somewhere.
Yeah, we hear what we want to hear, and unfortunately. Anyway, we'll celebrate Dr. McClellan while we can because, there'll be enough people tearing him down for, claiming he doesn't know what he's doing. Will be enough of that probably this week as SWAC Football Media Day comes along. When we come back from the short break, there are some HBCU ballers that are making a move at the Rucker. We'll talk about those guys who are united and making a statement. We'll get a chance to watch those guys later tonight. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap with Bryan and AD. We'll be back in a couple of minutes after this break.
This is Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network. Online at www.mybcsn.net and on the BCSN app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System.
This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
Okay,
good job, battle producer.
We're live.
Create
Welcome
one.
back.
If you'd have heard the conversation
Welcome
behind
back.
the scenes.
Welcome back. Live to BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and AD. God bless our producer. She's the best, man. Working
Love
with
you,
old working with old stuff, and you know, you're looking at some of those commercials like, man, where
Work with
those things
old
come
stuff,
from?
old stuff on the camera, old stuff on in the computer.
Yeah. My God, God bless her. Hey, those of you in the chat rooms on Twitter and on Facebook, if you would hit that like button, please give us a thumbs up. Go ahead and share the show. We're going to get into talking a little bit about the CIAA and the SWAC football media days, which are coming up this week, and we'll also recap the SIAC. Drew, I got to give this yesterday. The basketball tournament's going on. Oh, okay.
Before you hit that, Chuck Hunt pointed out Copper State defeated South Carolina in the 90s. And yeah.
Why are we going back to the 90s? Why are we going back to the 90s? Texas Southern beat Florida this past year.
Okay. I'm talking about in the tournament.
Oh, tournament. Oh, okay. You talk. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't even know how we got on that discussion. Those things are so few and far between, though. One of the things that I'm going to say is going to be real unpopular, and I'm starting to have this. Yeah, it's. I'm beginning to have a more realistic. Remember, we got into that the other day. Optimistic,
realistic versus pessimistic.
And pessimistic. I'm going to have a more realistic view about things, and all I'll say is this: no matter what conversation is happening in the HBCU sports diaspora, okay, I want you to ask the question: what level of involvement does our university president have with athletics? Okay, and pause there for a second. I want you to think and ask that question dearly. Because one of the things that people always seem to forget is that Dr. Charles McClellan and the SWAC work at the behest of your university's president. Okay. The commissioner of the CIAA, SIAC, MEAC, GCAC, they work at the behest of your college presidents. Now, take that even one step further out to the NCAA. When people get to talking bad about the NCAA, you know who they should be really talking about? The college presidents. Okay. So if you are at a school where you see, whether you think contracts are bad, whether you think the athletics are performing less than what they are, if you think the budgets are smaller than what they should be, how much time do you invest in talking to or writing or focusing your attention at the president of your university and maybe even the alumni of your university, the board of trustees? And when I say alumni, the alumni association of your university, and even the board of trustees or whatever, every board who maybe manages that, and ask them what their thoughts on these matters are. Because those are the people who are making the sort of what I'll call life and death decisions that are affecting college athletics at your university. So before we dump and bury the commissioners, the athletic directors, and things of that nature, we ought to take a look at where the real power players are. And the power players are with your college presidents. Okay, I had to get that in there. All right, going back to Drew, the TBT. I asked somebody earlier, Drew, do they know that the TBT was starting this weekend? I don't think and they were like, the what? And Drew's leaving me. I don't know where Drew's going. So are we live right now? What's going on here? All right, so I guess we're live. Drew must have an emergency that he's dealing with. So I'll kind of run with this. Those of you who are watching this live, you're like, hopefully everything's okay with Drew. But so I'll finish on and talk a little bit about the TBT that's happening. The opening round of the basketball tournament is happening. There is an HBCU themed team called HBCU United making their second year, their appearance in the TBT. They are playing the round of 32, which is the opening round of the TBT in the Rucker. The Rucker is, I guess, one of the regional sites. So they're playing out on the blacktops out in New York City. And just to kind of set the sort of the roster of and what that staff looks like, they're led by Coach Robert Jones, of course, Coach Jones of Norfolk State University. Jake Brown is the GM and assistant coach. I remember we talked to Jake last year, back when this team first started. The region they're playing in is the Rucker Park region in New York. And some of the names that are a part of this roster, you've got Amir Smith from Hampton, Bakari Copeland, who went to Maryland Eastern Shore, Brandon Tabb of Bethune-Cookman, Derek Jamerson of Norfolk State, Devontae Carter of Norfolk State, Jeremy Combs, who finished up at Texas Southern, Jermaine Merrow of Hampton, Malik Trent, also of Hampton, Phil Carr, Morgan State, Taiwan Kinley of Morgan State, and Thomas Snacks Lee, the SB winner from Jackson State. And, those boys, all they did last night, Drew, is go out and get a 76-72 win in the opening round against Skip to My Lou's team. You remember Skip to the Lou, or Skip to My Lou, I should say.
Yes, street ball legend.
And one classic tour,
and one
right?
mixtape.
And one mixtape, right. Malik Trent hit a three-pointer to give HBC United the Elam ending finish. in the Rucker amongst the legends such as Kareem, Julius. Well, I don't know if those guys were there, actually. That's just, they're saying the Rucker Park is where, of course, those guys played and wilt. I think Julius was there, if I'm not mistaken. I think I saw a video clip that Julius was in the house. So game number 2 for those guys, and this is an 18 field that's playing. So it's a little 18 regional that's playing at the Rucker. 18 pods. So this is the field is 64. So I guess the top, there's 16 pods happening. So pretty much like it's almost like the Division II regionals, right?
Correct.
Yeah, Division II regionals. Yeah. So game number 2 is tonight, 8 p.m. on ESPNU. So after our show, you get a chance to kind of go over and watch those guys play. So that'll be real good. Did you get a chance to watch any of the highlights or anything from their performance last night?
No, I didn't watch any of the highlights, but just wanted to point out I have been to Rucker Park though, Brian.
Really? I've never been.
Yes.
I missed the opportunity in the internship I did up in New York. I never did go.
Yeah, when I was up there on my internship at Pfizer, I did get to go by there and see Rucker Park along with a few other places in Harlem. So,
and I gotta admit, one of the if you've never seen the documentary on Dr. J, it's a heck of a documentary. It really talks about, because that's where he got his name. He got his name at the Rucker.
At the Rucker, yeah.
And
you got to go watch the GOAT.
That's a documentary, right?
Yes, documentary Earl Manigault. Yeah.
So just a couple of quick recommendations. Other storylines that came out of the past week. Well, while we're talking about SWAC business, we can talk about the latest comments from Coach Sanders. And did we have a clip of this, Drew?
Which clip? We've got a couple clips.
Is this the
Coach
clip
Sanders
in his comments on Saturday? Matter of fact, after the
no, we don't have that clip.
Okay, maybe after the break we'll mention it. But you know what? I'm going to save that. Let's save the Coach Sanders for a little bit later, because I want to make sure we have everything squared away on that. Let's go to a couple other random news notes before we get heavy and deep. You want to talk about the NEC and MEAC announcing the 3-sport associate membership partner? I know some of this is a little bit old news, because I know some other shows have talked about it.
But it officially came out on Monday.
Okay. Okay. That's the that's the announcement that you had several schools go be an associate member partnerships. You had Coppin State, Delaware State, Howard, Maryland Eastern Shore, Norfolk State, and North Carolina Central, in a variety of sports ranging from baseball to golf, men's golf, women's golf. And I think, of course, the MEAC only had 4 schools that played baseball still. So now all 4 of those schools will go play in the NEC.
Coppin, Delaware, Coppin State, Delaware State, Maryland Eastern Shore, Norfolk State.
Right. And then in terms of women's golf, there were 3
Delaware
programs.
State. Yeah, Delaware State, Maryland Eastern Shore, and North Carolina Central.
And there were 3 programs that played men's golf,
which would be Howard, Maryland Eastern Shore, and North Carolina Central. Maryland Eastern Shore is the only one to become an associate member in all 3 of the sports that they'll have the cooperative with them.
Right. And so if you read the press release, it's a good it's a good move for those schools right now. I think it brings baseball up to, so for those 4 MEAC schools, they'll now play in an 11-team league, which is good, especially for scheduling purposes. Men's golf, I think, will expand to 9 sports now. So the 3 MEAC schools add to the 6 previous of the NEC to form a 9-school league. And then the 3 women's programs form with 8 other schools to now make an 11 program league. So those are healthy numbers, good opportunities for scheduling, which is what, when you join a conference, that's what all this is about, Drew. It's all about partnerships that help with scheduling.
Yeah, and keep in mind, Howard was already a member of the NEC in both men's and women's golf, bringing that conference to 4 HBCU in all of the sports that they cooperated on.
All right. Another piece of news that we missed recently was the news that Arkansas Baptist, you brought this to my attention, and I kind of head scratcher at first, but Arkansas Baptist from Little Rock, Arkansas, will make the transition from a junior college to the NAIA. And it will transition from a 2-year school to a 4-year degree-granting institution. Now, we were looking this up a little bit, and at first you caught me off guard with this. So what little do we know about Arkansas Baptist College, Drew?
Founded in 1884 in Little Rock, Arkansas. They play 9 sports currently. See if I could go, and I'm going off the top of my head now because I looked this up earlier today. That would be, do I have it right here? No, I don't have it. That would be that would be football, men's and women's basketball, football, men's and women's basketball, baseball, softball, volleyball, and there are 2 additional sports. I want to say that there is either bowling or golf, and they play both men's and women's when it comes to that additional sports. So they compete in 9 sports. What makes this Arkansas Baptist interesting is, will it be possible that they may ultimately wind up in the GCAC with a natural rival, Philander Smith, in Holly Springs, Arkansas, right there as a potential rival.
Interesting, and yeah, that would give GCAC right now, which is sitting as an 8-team league, possibly an opportunity to move to a 9-team league. And I think you pointed out how many of those programs the GCAC sponsors. I think you said 5 or 6.
5 of those. They now sponsor. They'll be adding baseball, so they sponsor 5 sports also. And ironically, Philander Smith is also located in Little Rock, Arkansas. So it would be a natural fit if Arkansas Baptist were to come in to the GCAC.
Okay. Hey. So be it. All right. So that's Arkansas Baptist. You threw me for a loop, but that's what I love about you, Drew. You seem to find these stories, NAIA Division II stories, which sometimes get overlooked, but it's significant to kind of mention them, and then just put that little nugget out there, because you never know. Who knows? Dr. Kiki Baker Barnes could already be working in the background, thinking about an opportunity, and if not, well, hey, now you.
Hey, who thought she was gonna go get Wiley?
There you go. That wasn't on the radar, but she pulled that off. So there you go.
Maybe if she goes and gets Arkansas Baptist, who knows? Maybe she'll get my hometown involved in the GCAC and bring Harris Stowe State University out of St. Louis into the GCAC.
Ooh, there's a reach, but I mean, hey, who knows? Who knows? There could be some opportunities.
I'm throwing spaghetti at the wall on that one, y'all. I really don't expect that to happen. I'm just throwing spaghetti at the wall on that one. I do expect
but
the
look,
Arkansas Baptist one. I realistically do think the Arkansas Baptist one could happen once they become a full. They finish their transition into NAIA.
Here's what I will say. Watch for the way that money from outlets such as HBCU League Pass, Urban Edge Network, pay attention to how that influences a lot of the Division II and NAIA programs.
Just like the money from the other four-letter networks tend to influence Division I.
Bigger schools, yes, because there are some schools that are about to make some come-ups, and they're about to take benefit of the opportunities that are being presented to them in these digital network streaming spaces. So pay attention to those schools. I see somebody in the chat room already. David Garner already pointed out that Stillman College has made a deal with HBCU League Pass and Urban Edge
Have you seen
Network.
that basketball court?
Hey, look. Anyway, speaking of media rights, we got to quickly go to the story that came out about the Bayou Classic, in which they signed a new.
Let's shelve that one for a sec. Let's talk about the four-letter network and the SIAC first before we get on.
You know what? I wanted to come to this first, Drew, because I thought talking about that would be a good transition into recapping the SIAC. And so let's do it. Let's do it in that form. Let's do it that way.
Okay.
We can transition into recapping about the SIAC along with that. But I figure once we hit this, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Hold on, Brian, I got to read this one. Michael Road Dogg Reed says Arkansas Baptist will be in the Big 12 by Labor Day.
Labor Day 2025. I'm predicting it. 2025. Watch out. Arkansas Baptist 2025. Big 12. Hey, all right. So NBC Sports, and I'm reading from HBCU Game Day. Reading Steve's article. Obviously, I don't know if Steve wrote it. Actually, it came from Grambling State, but I'm reading it out of HBCU Game Day. NBC Sports, the Bayou Classic announced media rights extension. It's a 3-year extension kicking off the 49th annual Bayou Classic, which will happen this year. Of course, we did hear that on Saturday, November 26th, the game will move off of Peacock, which was NBC Sports or NBC's online digital platform, which I think Peacock is going away, along with NBC Sports, which is also another digital package.
Peacock's going away also?
Yes, I believe Peacock is going away. I think Peacock is going away.
I know NBC Sports.
Well, no, maybe it's NBC Sports. Let me recorrect.
NBC Sports is going away.
Yeah,
because
on the digital platform.
They moved from NBC Sports, moving a lot of their sports content
to
over
USA.
to USA. Yes.
Yeah. So anyway,
which is
Peacock
what USA
is where the
used
game
to be
was last year
when it started.
The game was last year on Peacock. Now it's back. Remember, a few years, it used to be on NBC, the main NBC.
Then it went to NBC
channel.
Sports,
and then went to NBC Sports, went digital, and I think maybe that had to do with the old, they used to be sponsored by State Farm. I think that kind of went away. Well, anyway,
and I think it has something to do with the kickoff time also, which is another
kickoff time. There's a lot of factors that went into that. Okay, a lot of factors that went into it. Obviously, with this upcoming year being the 49th year, next year will be the 50th year. I don't know if the times have been announced. I remember thinking back to AD Roman Banks when he was on the Carlos Brown show a couple of weeks ago, mentioning that, of course, the schools have their preferred time, which I believe would be maybe 3 or 4 p.m. Eastern or Central. But I think the NBC networks would like to try to have that game around a 1 or 2 o'clock Central time. We'll see how that all gets negotiated out. Television drives a lot of this. One of the talking points.
One good thing about this year's time is Notre Dame is on the road this year, so they have a little bit more flexibility this year.
That, you know what? It's a good point. Now, do you know who Notre Dame is playing on the road?
SC.
It's probably, yeah. So that means
USC.
that game, and it's on the road. That means it'll be on ABC or ESPN. So that does open up. That does open up the early afternoon time spot, right? And NBC normally plays those Notre Dame games around 2 o'clock Eastern. So that would be 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 Central, which is earlier than what most folks are used to for the Bayou Classic by probably about 2 to 3 hours. So, but hey, television dictates, television drives these start times. Yes. Okay. Yes. So back to this article. Big thing that's being talked about, Drew. Of course, everybody's interested in media rights and everybody's interested in how much money your school is going to get for playing their game. Okay, that's a big talking point these days. Okay, along with the conversation about promoters and who's running these classics. So this game obviously is run, of course, by Southern and Grambling, if I'm not mistaken. So I was listening to a couple other shows, and the conversation that has been circulating is this game, is the fact that Southern and Grambling entered into this deal, what did they sacrifice? What did they gain for renewing with NBC? Okay. What I find interesting when people talk about this, and this is pointed out in the article, and you got to read these articles and these informations pieces that come out from the universities, because in sort of so many words they tell you why they went with a particular deal. Now, I've got sources. I've even heard Scotty on his show talk earlier this week talk about. There's a network that proposed to actually pay Grambling and Southern money to actually play this game and for it to be on their network. Okay. Well-known network. Okay. Now, I think that network, if I'm not mistaken, would have been on cable. I don't think it was one of the primary networks. And I say primary, the top 4.
The linear network.
It wasn't one of the main 4.
The linear network.
Right.
The linear.
Right. It would have been an online cable network. Okay. But they have a high interest because they air other HBCU events, especially at the beginning of the season. And, they wanted to be a part of this Bayou Classic. And they have an interest in HBCU football. They've made a commitment. So here's what's interesting. Look at some of the things that NBC offered up to Grambling and Southern to keep this game as part of their package. Okay. And as I go through the article, I'm trying to find the highlight. As part of the extension, I'm reading here, Southern and Grambling will participate in a professional development programming through the NBCU Academy, which is a journalism training and development program designed to prepare college students and young professionals for careers in the news and media technology industry. 1. Okay, there's point 1, right? Remember, we're talking about colleges, right, Drew? These are colleges, yes, with students.
Correct.
Okay. NBC is a pretty big entity in itself, right? Okay. Additionally, NBC Sports will present select journalism students from both Southern and Grambling the opportunity to cover the event for NBCSports.com. Pretty big, although Southern and Grambling can do this through their own athletic departments. if they have a relationship with their own journalism students. I'm just putting that out there, so just to let it be said, okay? Also, that was point 2, right? Here's point 3. This the one that kind of I chuckled at. Students at Southern and Grambling State will also, I don't know which students, Drew, but this just says students. They will have access to NBC Sports Black Employee Network, BEN, which I didn't know that was a thing, which seeks to foster and grow a strong Black employee base throughout NBC Universal. NBC Universal is the parent company. So, in short, students at Southern and Grambling, they get the Black Rolodex. They get the Rolodex to all of the African Americans within the NBC Sports Employee Network. Now, we did a little digging there, Drew. What do we discover about that Black Employee Network? This is just pure speculation on our part, right? We're just having a good chuckle. But I think it wasn't until, when you go look at the heads of NBC Universal, I asked the question, hey, Drew, what does the head of NBC Universal look like? Does he look like you or me?
No.
No, doesn't look like you or me. All right. Maybe the next level or two, any of the other executive senior VPs, any of them look like you or me?
There's one EVP.
Oh, an EVP, an executive vice president. Okay, so an executive vice president. So you start getting maybe 10th or 11th person.
Yes, that's
in line.
Right. And now you got to keep in mind you've got your chairman, you've got your CEO, you've got your president, you got your CFO, and a few other people. Then you've got your division presidents. And what do I mean by divisions? Comcast, MSNBC, all of those have a division president.
Right.
Then you start getting into your VPs and your EVPs.
Okay. But hey, I mean, having access to the Black Rolodex, could be beneficial to some students. I don't know which students. It doesn't say which students, unfortunately. But needless to say, so as I'm trying to look for a couple other quotes here. Look for some quotes here from the Senior VP of Strategic Initiatives and Head of Diversity and Inclusion of NBC Sports. Did we come across his name anywhere in that top upper tier level?
No, I did not.
No, okay, just checking. The importance of this partnership extends well beyond the football field. Key point here. The Bayou Classic has become a tentpole for our diversity, equity, and inclusion program. We're excited to continue to work with Southern and Grambling to educate students on careers in journalism and media while offering hands-on experience opportunities. So, Drew, the question I bring to you, it's a little bit different than tradition versus money. How about educational opportunities versus money? At a university like Grambling and or Southern, is that worth more than, I don't know, maybe say $1 million plus that you might have got for being on another network to play this game?
Let's define what those educational opportunities are. And full disclosure, I'm going to tiptoe around this and may even abstain from portions of this, because as part of the executive committee of the Black College World Series and having been through these negotiations and on the other side of these negotiations, I have to make sure that I mince my words and don't say anything anything offensive to anybody that's gonna hurt my other business venture. You muted yourself, Brian.
I said I'll be that guy for you. I'll be that guy. I'll speak the words that you can't speak.
But I am going to say this: the educational opportunities. I really need definition and clarity on those educational opportunities. What do I mean by that?
Well,
if we are talking about
right there in
the if we are talking about internships,
yes.
While internships are good for experience,
professional development,
those are not. Yes, those are not the things that are going to put overall the university in a better position. If these are jobs that may lead to, with upper mobility, that may lead to upper management jobs where the students of Grambling and Southern with 10, 15 years from now get to the point where they are the decision makers and can, just like the cycle in corporate America, how do you think all of these universities have their endowment? Their students get into these upper level decision making positions in those companies. Those companies reinvest, those people reinvest into their alma maters through programs, through money, through sponsorships, through other things that put their university in a better position. So when their children follow in their footsteps and go to their alma mater is better than it was when they left it. So what I would be interested to see, are these jobs, but are these just an entry-level job? You get that job for 3 to 5 years and then you go somewhere else. Is that really doing anybody any good? But all of these are kind of jobs where these students will get the opportunity to move up, be it with NBC or with another network, where they get the experience and get the upper mobility that they need to get to those points where they can really help those universities out. That's the question that I have with these opportunities, or all these tokens and carrots, such as internships and entry-level jobs.
So wait a minute. Are you saying that an internship is a token and a carrot?
In the long range, long scheme of things, as far as the university, and I'm probably in the minority, say in a better position, yes, it can be. Especially if you got these things in lieu of cash. If you got these things in addition to cash, that's a good thing. If these were things given to you in lieu of cash, I have to I have some questions and some reservations about it. I hope that clarified it a little bit more.
I'm surprised by your answer, given we're both a product of the same business program.
Me and you did the same internship 2 years apart.
Yes, and I don't think either of us went and got a job from that company, correct?
No. That's why I said, that's why I threw the internship thing. Wait a minute. Now let's take it one step further. Did that internship that common internship that we did, because you did 2, I did 3. Did that internship actually put us in a position for our first job? That internship, that common internship that we had.
Directly, no. But what it did provide us, though, it provided us with an open door to see what being in a corporate Fortune 500 company was like. It gave us and our classmates access that we would normally not have gotten on our own. So,
correct.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That part is
hold on.
To me,
I got one of my 3 on my own, so I guess I'm the exception.
Well, so did many
2 from
others,
the university, 1 on my own.
Okay, yes, but what I'm saying is, so many others did not. So many others do not, And especially sometimes in media, trying to get an internship in a media company is very challenging. So when I talk about what's invaluable, so see, we want to put a value and a number on what this is worth. And what I think we ought to look at is the function of schools. And this is where I told you I'm going to say something that's real unpopular. Okay. All of our HBCUs are not interested in being athletic powerhouses. Many of them function and are functioning similar to how Ivy League schools function. And they are charged with what? We have so many students that we want to put into the nursing, medical, science, engineering, STEM fields across the country. And that is how the impact of our university is. We have more people who will make an impact in the society from things other than athletics than it will athletics, if I'm making sense. So while we argue and debate about athletics being the front doorstep of our university, yes, it is. And yes, it should be treated and it should be as valuable as anything else. There are a lot of presidents, and this is why we see what we see. I believe there are a lot of presidents that view the academic importance of educational institutions, the HBCU institutions, and what they mean to the overall community, the Black African-American community, the Black experience in this country. They view that greater than athletics because other schools have mastered the athletic world. They take in young men that look like me and you, and they're making millions, billions off of them and other places. They've been allowed and they've worked the system and they've managed it. So what is the HBCU lane? The HBCU lane becomes more of a access to things that maybe we're not getting in other places. So I look at an NBC Sports saying, hey, we're going to give your students professional development training. Maybe somebody who comes out of that NBCU Academy becomes the next, I don't know, you can throw any Black media personality that has gone on, whether it be a writer, director, television producer, anchor, that came from an HBCU. Maybe they'll be that next person.
But hold up, there's more than the production side or the
there's
writing,
the business side,
journalism.
yes.
There's the business side. Are those students in the respective business schools getting those? Or the engineers, because they're the engineers, or our engineering students going to get those same opportunities? This needs to be more than journalism and mass communications.
They do say
and music majors.
Well, it doesn't say anything about it. Look, it says right here, it says news
you
and media technology industry.
You need music majors too. So who you think does those scores? Think about it, Brian. Who you think doing those scores for those intros and all that stuff?
I don't know. They're outsourcing.
There's got to be somebody with something. I'm just throwing it out there. So somebody has to be there producing that stuff.
Maybe through the black Rolodex that they have on NBC Sports, maybe that'll help provide some connections with somebody. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there because I think we talk about this 3-year deal and that's broadcasting and the game is going to be, and everybody's maybe being short-sighted about looking at it and saying, oh, well, they're only giving us so much money from the game. And so if you look at it from the standpoint of they're getting over, I don't think we're looking at that the right way. Because
I'm not saying they're getting over. But
a lot of people are. A lot of people are saying. A lot of people seem to think that NBC is getting over. Because again, I go back to what your university's function is. And again, go look at your presidents. Go talk. Go study your presidents. Pay attention to the things your presidents say. Because your presidents, Dr. The president at Grambling, Dr. Rick, I think he's a doctor, I want to say, but Rick Gallant, the Southern University, he's not quoted in this article on HBCU Game Day because it came from Grambling State Athletics, but I'd be willing to bet anything that these individuals, again, academic institutions of higher learning. Just remember that, folks. I think it's a fascinating discussion. I think it's a fascinating look at. So, yeah, hey, look, it's all somebody said Dr. Hudson. That's Israel Carey. That's Dr. Hudson of, I'm assuming that's the Southern's chancellor. So, again, all media rights are not equal. So the NBC will carry this 49th anniversary of the Bayou Classic. It looks like they're making a commitment to also air the 50th anniversary on their TV. No mention of the next year, but it's a 3-year deal. Maybe, USA. At that point, it'll be USA. Yeah. So yeah, I just want to throw that out there because.
But I am gonna say this: if we want to make sure it stays on NBC, we need eyeballs on the screen on that day.
And yes, because that is important from the standpoint of that is actually the opportunity to measure how many eyes are watching the game. So if we're worried about how much Southern and Grambling are getting from this game, if you're really worried, if you really are, watch the game. Put eyes on it so that when Nielsen rates this game, that they see that, oh, wow, this game rates bigger than almost, any other game, or let it be the 4th or 5th or top 10. Let it be a top 10 rated game, most watched game of that particular Saturday.
And you got to keep in mind, that's rivalry Saturday. You've got Alabama, Auburn. You've got Notre Dame, SC. You've got Ohio State, Michigan. You name every big rivalry game just about is played on that particular Friday or Saturday.
I can't even tell you guys how important eyeballs will matter this upcoming football season. You have no idea. So your eyeballs will matter this year. Let's take a break, Drew, and come back and get into talking about these media days and recap and what's up ahead in front of us. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap. We'll be back in just a moment.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cuvee of Dr. Caveel's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Caveel's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Follow the Black College Sports Network and all of our shows on YouTube. You can find us at MyJBN Online and on all social media at MyBCSN1.
Itchy, squirmy, scratchy, family not getting clean? Get Charmin Ultra Strong. Go get 'em. It just cleans better. With a diamond weave texture, your family can use less while still getting clean.
Goodbye, itchy squirm.
Hello, cream bottom.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
It's been difficult because I hadn't been able to see my grandchildren.
An expression on someone's face when you do something nice for them.
I miss all my friends in school.
Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision about COVID-19 vaccine.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
The Cuvee Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvee.
For my people that don't get to see me, trying to remind you who you are, just like in Romans 3. See, we about to blow across the world just like a day that's breezy. This motivation for the people and this classic Bible teaching say, hey, this for my people that don't get to see me, trying to remind you who you are, just like in Romans 3. See, we about to blow across the world just like a day that's breezy. This motivation for the people and this classic Bible teaching, hey, 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 motivation.
Are you ready? It's time. The inaugural Urban Nerdcon is coming to Montgomery, Alabama, July 29th through the 31st. Blurs, nerds, and geeks from across the universe will converge on the capital city to see celebrity guests such as The Last Dragon, Timok, Megan Tandy, and voice actor Dave Fennoy.
Hey, how you doing? I'm voice actor Dave Fennoy with a shout out to all my geeks, freaks, and urban nerds. Just want to let you know I'm going to be there and I want to meet you at the Urban Nerdcon Gaming and Cosplay event. It's happening July 29th through the 31st in Montgomery, Alabama. Hope you want to meet me as much as I want to meet you.
So join us by visiting theurbannerdcon.net for ticket and vendor information. This will be the premier blurred event in the universe. Theurbannerdcon.net. Our heroes, our villains, our stories, everyone's con. See you there.
But my beats, they are hard.
Thought the show was good. Thought the show was over. No, we're not done yet.
That was the wrong clip.
I love our producer. Hey, no, don't leave yet. No, the show's not over.
Lord bless her heart. And in the words of my late sister.
Shout out to producer Mel back there working. Hey, thanks for coming back. This is the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and AD here. Want to remind, hey, look, if you're in the Montgomery area, you know, I gotta tell you, you guys got to get to the Urban Nerdcon at the end of the month. Theurbannerdcon.net, I think, is the website. You know, I saw on that promo Megan Tandy will be there. Big fan of her work. Yeah, as far back as look, I admit, you know, I used to watch Teen Wolf back in the day. I gotta admit, you know, I used to watch, and then also some of her work in some of the other shows that she's been in. But big fan. I would love to be able to attend. I'm working on it. Got some back channels I'm working on, Drew, trying to see how I can get there. Not ready to quite go dressed up as anything. Although I think if I did go, I think I had to go dressed up as a Ninja Turtle. I think I'd have to go. I think that'd be. I'm serious. I think I could pull that off. You know, give him my size. You know, I think I can kind of pull that off. I don't know which turtle, but I think I'd have to go as a Ninja Turtle. I'm just throwing that out there. Drew, if you had to go dressed up in cosplay, who would you go at? What would you go as?
I don't know. I am not a sci-fi nerd. If I did anything, what was the black guy for Star Trek?
You know what? Exactly. I can see you going. Now wait a minute. Not Jordy. Not Jordy though. I can see you going as one of a
Next
character.
generation.
One of
The
those,
guy off the Next Generation. I can't think of his name.
not LeVar Burton. Are you thinking not? Is that who you're thinking of?
I think so.
Yeah, no, he looks a little too short. He looks a little too short. I do get a vibe that you could go as someone off of Star Trek. There's some characters I think that you could really make work.
I could pull it off.
I think you could pull it off. You could pull it off. I think you could. But yeah, I'd love to be able to go as the Ninja Turtle. So if anybody needs a fourth for their Ninja Turtle group, you know, you hit me up at DRB365. You know, I'm down to get down in some turtle gear. I look mean and green. That's all I gotta say.
In the gump. In the gump.
What's that?
Montgomery. In the gump. Montgomery. That's what they call it.
Oh, is that what you call it? Okay, see, I didn't even know.
The gump.
Okay. The gump. Okay,
gump
good
time.
to know. Okay. Wow. Jesus, I did not know all that. Okay, so SIAC Media Day. Let's quickly kind of get into roll call through what we saw, what we heard from those media days. Let's kind of go with our predictive information first off, Drew.
Which one are we going
I think
with?
last time we talked, we thought there might be the all format, but it ended up being an East and a West.
And I have officially a reason came out.
Okay, go ahead.
Previously, the SIAC was split up 6-5, 6 on the East, 5 on the West. What the SIAC has basically done is kick the can down the road for at least this football season. They will have to address it come basketball season. With the number of they will not have to address it come basketball season, because in basketball season it will be split up 8-7, because there are 2 teams on the west side who do not play football who will play basketball. That being Lemoyne Owen and Spring Hill, which will bring you to an 8-7 for basketball. They kick the can down the road in football, even though you see 8 teams on one side and 5 on the other, because 2 of those teams on the east side are not eligible for postseason this year, i.e. they cannot play for the SIAC championship, which means you still only have 6 teams on the east and 5 teams on the west for football only this season. All other sports, Edward Waters and Allen can compete. They will not be cleared until September 1 for year 2, which means they will not be cleared in time for the football season, for this football season.
I feel like I want to clarify something, because as of July 14th, which was Friday, Edward Waters announced that the NCAA Division II Membership Committee approved EWU to move into the second year of the Division II membership process. Let's see. So let's see.
But there is a September 1st date that another approval has to occur for them to be
now,
able to,
per my conversation with Coach Toriano Morgan at Media Day,
mm-hmm.
he did emphasize to me that Edward Waters can compete and win a championship in the SIAC this year.
But
however,
they cannot go to the Division II playoffs.
That may be true, which is why they're playing their game against Allen University on the last day, week 11, which is usually reserved for the SIAC championship. So what would that scenario look like? Let's just say EWU, Edward Waters, runs the table, almost very similar to, actually, very similar
Savannah
to what
State.
Savannah State did. Yeah, but Savannah State couldn't claim the title per se.
Correct.
Even though they finished in first, they couldn't claim it. And technically, I think it was Albany State.
Albany State and Miles played that year. Miles won.
I was saying Albany State went to the championship game is what I was going to say, because they represented the East in the championship game. So a similar scenario could play this year where if Edward Waters wins
or
the
Edward
East,
Waters. Or Allen.
No, I don't think Allen is in the same
Allen's
situation
not
as
ready.
Edward Waters.
Okay.
Allen, it's just Edward Waters. So Edward Waters is a year ahead of Allen in the process, from what I've read from the releases. So Edward Waters could run the table. Let's say they go 7-0 in Eastern Conference play. They can technically win the East, but they can't go to the championship game. So someone else would end up going in their place, whoever's second place team. So they could technically win the East, but can't win the overall conference, which I think now they got an 11-game schedule. They open on week 0 against Florida Memorial. They finished on week 11 against Allen University.
Allen. Yes.
Right. So there's the opportunity there. So now back to the SIAC. Per the predictions, per the preseason predictions, Albany State pretty much the runaway predictive team to finish in first. I think they had like 13 players on the all SIAC team, including the offensive player of the year, preseason offensive player of the year. I think over on the west side, it was Miles who was predicted to finish to come out of the West. But I think I predicted Tuskegee. You and Jamie Walker predicted Lane, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That would be correct. And if let's just go to see if producer could pull up the graphic. If you could pull up the GT SIAC East graphic.
What graphic is this, Drew?
This is the predicted order finish that we had for the SIAC East. That is yourself, myself, and JB Walker. Once again, that's the GT SIAC East graphic.
All right. So what does that say while we're waiting on that to come up for those who are watching? We don't want to keep too much dead air. What is it? What is that predicted order of finish then?
I predicted Albany State, Morehouse, Benedict, Clark, Fort Valley, Edward Waters, Savannah State, and Allen.
Mm-hmm.
You predicted Albany State. Nope, wrong one.
Keep going.
I just texted it to you, Miss Producer. You predicted Albany State, Benedict, Fort Valley, Morehouse, Edward Waters, Savannah, Allen, and Clark. JB Walker, there we go. JB Walker predicted Albany State, Benedict, Morehouse, Savannah State, Allen, Fort Valley, Edward Waters, and Clark.
Yeah, I mean it's so loaded. I tell you, I like my choice for my 1 and 2. Put it like that: Albany State and Benedict. I think
which you and Jamie agreed on.
Right. Yeah, I noticed me and Jamie both kind of agreed there on the same thing. So
interested that you had Fort Valley 3 versus me with Fort Valley 5 and Jamie with Fort Valley 6. Thought that was an interesting contrast for, between all of us.
Yeah, I think when I go back and look at sort of my notes from Fort Valley, I think the thing that impressed me is they come back. Of course, Sean Gibbs is the new head coach from out of North Carolina A&T, but he has a young running back and a young quarterback, Emmanuel Wilson, who actually is going into his junior year, but we remember him as the CIAA Offensive Player of the Year as a true freshman. He was the only running back in the SIAC to average over 100 yards per game from scrimmage. He averaged actually 119. He only played in 7 games. Fort Valley State also has Tyrell Jackson, who's a sophomore quarterback, one of 3 quarterbacks in the conference to pass for over 200 yards per game. So I guess my thought is offensively, I like what Fort Valley State is coming to the table with. Coach Gibbs got there in February. I think some of the other situations where I'll tell you, let me see. No, Savannah State is interesting. I'll let you go for a second because I'm trying to pull up Jamie's comments. Jamie had some really good analysis of the SIAC. I got to see if I can pull it up, but I think week 1 will be interesting for Fort Valley against Tuskegee. I'll let you go ahead for a second while I try to find some of Jamie's recaps from the SIAC, and then we got to keep moving here because we're running short on time.
I thought it was interesting that neither one of you guys gave Clark Atlanta any respect with Coach Willie Slater taking over at Clark Atlanta. Both you guys had Clark predicted to finish last on the east side. I had Clark coming in at number 4 this year. So I thought that was interesting.
I'll tell you, for me,
you guys,
I don't know Clark's personnel very well. I'll be very transparent about that. But after talking to the players who were in attendance there with Coach Slater, that is 100% a buy-in. Those guys, everyone has bought in. It sounds like everybody has bought in at Clark. And I'll tell you, the interesting thing, Drew, listening to Coach Slater talk about the things that he sees at Clark, the things that are there, things that you could, if you just listen to the words and the tone, Drew, the things that he didn't get, maybe he asked for it.
He wanted at Tuskegee.
Things he wanted and didn't get, Clark has it. Clark has it. And it was very apparent in hearing him talk that, he likes where he's at. He sees.
He was tired at Tuskegee. Yeah, he dealt with 3 presidents, and he was only AD for 3 years. And let's be real. We act like he forgot how to coach during the time that he was the athletic director. He didn't forget how to coach. He didn't forget how to recruit. He just had too many irons in the fire when he became athletic director, along with quarterback coach, along with offensive coordinator, along with head coach. So now that he could go back to doing what he does good, which is recruit and coach, let me tell y'all something. Anybody who can recruit the type of players that Willie Slater could recruit at Tuskegee with the lack of facilities that Tuskegee has is a damn good coach and a damn good recruiter. That's all I got to say about that. So
and then what? And I'll contrast that by hearing from when we talk about what Tuskegee is doing now with what they're doing now, it's kind of like, oh man, I tell you that's why I said Clark Tuskegee game is going to be lit, and that's one of the highlight games for me. Okay, so I found some of Jamie's notes. Okay, I'm going to read quickly. I'm going to quickly read some of Jamie's thoughts here. But go ahead. You want to add?
I was going to say let's go to the SIAC West, but go ahead and read your notes first.
Yeah, okay, let me see if I can find a couple of quick things as it related to Jamie's thoughts on the East. He said Clark Atlanta, Edward Waters, and/or Allen will be making a lot of teams nervous this season. And this is I'm sticking to his points regarding the East. He said clearly, his comments were clearly Coach Barry of Benedict has been in somebody's church before because he was preaching big things for them this year. He actually called Savannah State a wild card, a great deal of talent, but playing catch up. Fort Valley and Central State have been quiet, but both coaches know winning. They want to steer their ships. Again, he pointed out Albany State is loaded. Everything is in place for them to repeat as champions. So those are the Eastern Conference takeaways. All right, let's go over to the West.
SIAC West, please.
Yeah, real quick as we talk about the West, which I think is the hardest team, the hardest group to predict.
There you go.
Yeah, I went Tuskegee, followed by Lane. You went Lane, you and Jamie both went Lane, followed by Tuskegee. Coach Byron Brown of Lane. I tell you that's going to be tough because I'll tell you,
Lane, the only team in the West where their coach is returning, and I believe their quarterback is returning also.
Right, Lane has everything is in order for Lane to do damage. They've got the defensive player of the preseason in Andrew Farmer. They've got 6 returners on the All-SIAC team, which I believe is the second most overall behind Albany State's 13. I think Lane is in a good position here, second-year coach at the helm. But I'll tell you, the team that I think people slept on, we all slept on Kentucky State. But what Kentucky State has is they do have some consistency because we didn't know. But now that we know that Ramon Johnson, who became the AD, also he's been in the program as an assistant coach. He's now taken over the head coach. They kept the main offensive coordinator. He'll be on staff. So, again, they recruited for a certain style of play. Now it all changes. Nothing changes, rather. So, Kentucky State, was on the doorstep and finished in second place. And so while a lot of people, including us, are predicting them last, that may be their motivation to kind of strike while the iron is hot. And Drew, I know we have Central State low, but what Central State has is a proven winner in Kevin Porter. And so
I've got them finishing middle of the pack, so.
Yeah, I know. Did we do any predictive? Did we do any? Did the computer do predictive analytics on?
Yes, they did.
The SIC.
Yes, it did. If we can go to the SIAC East graphic, please.
Okay, so by the computer. So the computer. Okay, now these are based on the computer metrics. The computer actually in the East actually likes Albany State, then followed by Savannah, Morehouse, Benedict, Fort Valley, Edward, Waters, Clark, and Allen. Do we have the West as well?
Yes, we do.
And over on the West side, the computers, look at that. The computers, now, who knows more, us or the computers? The computers go with Kentucky State in first, followed by Miles, Miles was the predicted winner of the West. Who was that in third? Was that Tuskegee?
That was Lane, Tuskegee, Central State.
Okay. So a little bit different than what we initially thought. So maybe on next week's show, we'll get a little bit more. We'll keep digging and share more info from the computer rankings, maybe give everybody some analytics in terms of wins and losses. Let's quickly jump over to that CIAA, which will be having their media day will be on Wednesday, the 20th. They're also doing a sort of a football day on Tuesday, the 19th, sort of like a youth football clinic, trying to make it sort of a 2-day event in Charlotte. They'll be at the Holiday Inn Valley View in Roanoke, Virginia. All 12 football coaches will be there. Media Day will take place. It'll also be available on the CIAA Sports Network. It's the CIAASN.com is where you can watch the Media Day. The defending champs, Drew, from a year ago, just in case people forgot, of course, that's Bowie State from a year ago. And I think that'll be the largest question that a lot of people will have is they went, we know what they have done. They went 7-0 in the conference. Virginia Union came in second, 5-2 in conference play. Shawan, followed by Virginia State, Elizabeth City, and Lincoln. Over on the south, Fayetteville State. Again, Fayetteville State they've had just as good a run as Bowie State. Unfortunately, they've lost to Bowie State three straight
Bills
years.
of the CIAA.
Yeah, they've lost 3 straight years. In the CIAA. So that'll be interesting to kind of see. Is this the year that Fayetteville State can kind of can transition into being, the new powerhouse of the CIAA? Shaw finished in second last year.
But does Shaw get over the hump?
Look, who has to get over the hump? Who has the bigger hump to get over? Fayetteville State or Shaw? Keep it real.
Well, you got to think about it. Shaw only loses to Fayetteville State, it seems like, every year. And Fayetteville State only loses to Bowie State every year. That's what it seemed like for the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm. I do want to respond real quick after we finish up here in the CIAA. A couple of things I'm seeing in the chats. That's one of the big questions, I think. What will Bowie State look like? I think everyone wants to know, given all of the departures, even some of the coaching departures. Will they maintain? It'll be hard to say. I mean, Damon Wilson built that program. Did he leave it, though? Obviously, with this day and age, with players transferring, what does that program look like after his departure? I think many people think Morgan State will be better off, but the question is, will Bowie be in a better situation? Any other thoughts there on the CIAA real quick, Drew?
No, but I need to go back on the SIAC for a minute. Dr. A.
Hold on a second. Hold on. We'll get there in a second. Let's finish up.
Okay.
Let's everything in due order. Let's finish up whether any other questions regarding the CIAA. Any other what is our predictive?
Shaw and Union are my predictions.
Those are your predictions. I was going to ask for the computer. I don't have a. If you ask me today, I will go Union and Fayetteville State. I won't venture that far off of what teams did last year. I'm kind of interested to see what computers say. All right, so let's quickly clean up a couple of things.
Oh, I was saying the computer has
okay.
Bowie.
Go ahead.
Bowie and Winston-Salem.
Bowie and Winston. Now, and see what's always interesting about the computer. The computer doesn't factor in departures, doesn't factor in the change in the coaching, things of that nature, right? Okay.
Correct. It just bases it off of last year's strength of schedule.
Right. Okay. So let's go quickly back over to the SIAC just to clean up a couple of things, because I know a couple of commenters. We appreciate everybody's feedback in the chat room. Some great discussion going in there. Alderman Faison said, "No, it's inaccurate."
That's Dr. A. Zachary Faison.
Okay. Appreciate Dr. Faison coming on. So he comes in and he did let us know. He said that Allen and EW are both eligible to compete for the SIAC championship immediately. He does say that they are not eligible for the D2 playoffs, but they can play in the championship game. Now, this is what I will ask about that then. If you're eligible to play in the championship game,
they will not be
the game
playing
against
Allen.
Drew,
I would say it.
Drew, let me finish the question. Let me finish. Because they can't hear if you're thinking what I'm thinking. If you're eligible to play in the championship game, which is week 11, is the game against Allen University going to be moved? That is my simple question. Because right now, as the schedule stands, Allen and Edward Waters are playing on the same day as the SIAC championship. So I would love to hear some clarification on that, Dr. Faison. I mean, doesn't have to be today, could be later. Whatever. But as I said, yes, so I don't know what's what. You know, explain it to me. That's all I'm asking. I would defer to the president. The president would know best, or maybe even Dr. Bryant might even come in and share exactly how that's going to play out. Now, what were you going to say, Drew?
I said I seriously doubt that game would be played if either one of those schools are in that position. By the way, Allen has an open date week 9. Edward Waters has an open date week 3. So those do not line up where that game could be moved. Just wanted to throw that out for a point of clarification also.
Yeah. Well, again, though, that's the scheduling challenges. I don't know how you resolve that. I'm just throwing it out there. Like I said, I don't. So that's why I threw the scenario out there about. I guess you could win.
Maybe you could get a waiver and play it the following week.
Well, no, the following week is what? The following week,
but
is
they can't go
to.
They can't go. But they can't. Neither one of them can go to the playoffs. So you could actually postpone it a week, possibly.
I don't think they would. I don't think either school would want to do that. You got the schedule matrix?
Well, it's Edward Waters' home game this year.
I know Edward Waters has that game on week 10 against Fort Lauderdale. Who's Allen playing that week?
Benedict.
Okay, well,
which is a conference game, so you can't move that. Like I say, maybe possibly Edward Waters moves it. They can see if they can move it to week 12 if they comes into that scenario, which would be the same weekend as the Florida Classic. And let's see, you got the Florida Classic, you've got Jackson State, Alcorn State, and a few other rival games that particular weekend.
Yeah. All right, let's so interesting. Let's jump over to the SWAC. Obviously, SWAC Media Days coming up. I think last week we talked about some of the players that'll be there. Obviously we'll get into more in-depth conversation about the SWAC coming up through the course of this week. But if we could just kind of think about what are going to be some of the hot button topics that will be buzzing about from SWAC Media Day? What are your thoughts on what are going to be some of the hot topics that we'll be talking about going into and out of SWAC Media Day?
Well, we all know the first thing that's going to be on everybody's mind. What is Prime going to say today? What's Prime going to say today?
Exactly. That's a new segment. That's a new weekly segment coming up on the SportsWrap. What Prime said today. What Coach Prime said this week.
Yeah, and not that he says anything wrong, but it's just that whatever he says is a headline grabber. So what will Prime say?
For a lot of people,
that will be the next. What will be the next headline grabber?
Exactly, because he's all.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say because he's already made some comments from this past Saturday that got people buzzing. So to be expected.
Number 2, let's look at the SWAC West.
Okay.
Prairie View, new coach. Southern, new coach. Grambling, new coach. So you've got three new coaches in the West. You've returning quarterbacks, Andrew Body and Skylar Perry, I believe.
Yeah, Skylar
are the
Perry.
only two returning starting quarterbacks in the West. Is the West as wide open as it appears to be on paper? That's my next question. I said that's the question. Is it? I said, is it appears to be on paper? Okay.
Here's one thing I will say. I think there are 4 teams. I think 4 teams in the SWAC West will get a first place vote. I think Southern, Grambling,
Southern,
and even Prairie View will get a first place. Actually, if Prairie View doesn't get the first place vote, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody gives Texas Southern a first place vote. Won't be surprised. But I'm still sticking to 4. I don't know who the 4th will be.
You don't think UAPB is gonna get a vote?
I
can really see everybody in the. I really can see everybody in the West voting for because you can't vote for yourself. I can see that. I can see it being split all the way around in the West.
You can't. Stop.
I can.
I'm sticking to 4.
Let's go to the East. Let's go to the East. Is Valley Valley for real?
Before you jump out of the West, can I let people know what are the surprise team that are, and we won't release this just now, but the surprise team, I think it's a surprise based on our metrics, our computer rankings, that the team that is predicted order number 1 in the SWAC West will probably be a surprise to a lot of people. It shouldn't be, but I think it will be. Should I say who? I probably shouldn't. Oh, all right. It'll be Alcorn State.
That's not a surprise.
Huh?
That's not a surprise to me.
Look,
just because I'm looking at it with you does not mean it's not a surprise.
I think a lot of people will look at Grambling, Southern, Prairie View, splashy, new coaches, and the standard, the old saying, the standard is the standard. Alcorn State, who had to deal with a lot last year.
If they get their quarterback situation solved, they'll be fine.
You know why I say that's not even an issue? Because all those years where they've had success winning the SWAC West, they did it pretty much every year with a new quarterback.
You mean SWAC East?
Okay, yeah, when they were in the East. I'm sorry, yeah. When they won the East, I think every year they won it, they had a different quarterback. I don't think they repeated with the same quarterback in any of those years. I could be wrong. Somebody feel free to correct me, but I could be wrong. They at least went 5 of those with new quarterbacks. So and supposedly they got tougher defensively, or at least from a defensive coaching perspective. Keep Alcorn State. Let's see how many people vote Alcorn State to win the West. All right, let's jump over to the East. You had what were your questions for the East?
Is Valley for real, or will Valley return to the Valley of old? Because Valley could really play spoiler to some of the top teams. They almost got some people last year. So will they continue that upward trend, or will they return back to the Valley of old?
Are you given what our computer rankings show for Valley this year? Are you going to make any bold claims for Valley this year?
No, I'm not. But I do think Valley will jump up and bite somebody at the wrong time. Okay.
That'll be interesting given what the metrics show. Go ahead.
Here's the next question.
Okay.
Will the winner of the OBC lose 2 other games? And will the loser of the OBC have that be their only loss and they still claim the East?
Let me see if I understand your question here. So repeat that again, because that was loaded.
Okay. Whoever wins the OBC, Orange Blossom Classic.
Okay. Between Jackson State and Florida A&M.
Right. They're predicted 1-2. The winner of the Orange Blossom Classic is the front runner to win the East, correct?
Correct.
Will that team who wins lose 2 additional games and allow that team who lost to still win the East, with that being their only loss? Okay. Basically, somebody goes 7-1, with the one being to the OBC, to the person they played in the OBC. The other team goes 6-2.
Well, that's a tough one to jump out there on a ledge and predict, but our computer rankings would say yes, that somebody between those 2 teams will finish at 6-2 and somebody will finish at 7-1.
And the 7-1 team loses to the 6-2 team. But we won't reveal that today.
Yeah, don't reveal that today. I see a few people saying no and no, but the computer says yes and yes.
All right. Next question. Which Alabama team will play spoiler? A&M or State? To one of those other 2 teams.
To what? Either Jackson State or Florida A&M?
Or FAMU, yes.
Well, okay. So for Florida A&M, I know they host Alabama A&M, and they travel to Alabama State. And I gotta imagine,
which is going to be a pseudo home game for FAMU. With that being only 3 hours away.
The Alabama State game, you think that'll be a pseudo home game?
It's 3 hours. It's just as far to Montgomery as it is to Daytona.
Well, FAMU doesn't play anybody in Daytona.
No, I'm just saying, just the distance between 2 is just as close to.
I got what you're saying.
Montgomery as it is to Daytona, Florida.
Jackson State is playing.
And
let's see.
Think about it. That's a lot closer for those Atlanta FAMU alums to come to Montgomery than to come to Tallahassee for a game.
Well, here's the thing. Jackson State has Alabama A&M on a neutral site. Now, I don't know where that neutral site is. You've got that listed as a neutral site game. Mobile, yep. And they're on the road against Alabama State. So, wow. So, advantage to FAMU because at least they have 1 home and 1 away, while Jackson State is playing both of those Alabama schools away. Yeah, that'll be interesting. No, I can't call that. I can't call that.
And will Bethune get over that hump this year? Because Bethune played everybody close, just could not get over the hump last year.
Key matchup for Bethune will be when Jalen Jones, who possibly will be quarterbacking at Bethune, plays Jackson State. Remember, he was the first 4-star quarterback that Jackson State got to come play there. And then, of course, he was shuttled off, or he chose to go elsewhere once he realized the writing on the wall that this was going to be Shadur's team. And he
when his dad is the coach, it's kind of obvious.
Look, I'm just saying what
just
he,
saying.
he recognized what it was, and so he went off to find somewhere else to play at Bethune-Cookman, and they get a host, Jackson State, in the Jaguar Stadium on
Jacksonville.
So in Jacksonville. So that'll be a big game in a big location. That'll be a big time game for Bethune. And so your original question was what now?
Will Bethune get over the hump this year? Because they played everybody close last year. They lost a lot of one possession games last year. So will Bethune get over that hump and win those games this year? Hey, here's another interesting one. With Jackson State outdraw Jacksonville in their own stadium, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that game should draw 40, 50,000 people. Given the fact that game is when it is, Florida A&M is actually on the road that particular weekend. That's October 15th. That's FAMU is actually traveling to the Hole to play Grambling.
Which is a tough ride from Tallahassee.
Yeah, that whole Grambling, that whole northern Florida, South Georgia area, they should be flocking to see that game between Bethune and Jackson State. If there's anything less than 40,000 people at that stadium, I'd be really disappointed. The Sonic Boom and then the Marching Wildcats, both in attendance. That'll be a big game. So that'll be a big game. We'll release some of our predictions, and even we're working on an over-under contest this year. We've got some predictive numbers, and just kind of working on some over-unders to kind of see, do you think, where do these teams finish? It's pretty interesting, though, according to the analytics and our predictive rankings, only one HBCU school will finish with 8 wins. Nobody at 9, nobody at 10.
And that's on the FCS level.
At the FCS level, yeah. Nobody with 9, nobody with 10. And one school is predicted to finish winless. I won't release that until after SWAC Media Day. There's no way I'm rolling into SWAC Media Day saying, hey, our computer system.
Yes.
You think what?
I was going to say you.
No, I mean, if we can do the over/under, we can do the over/under heading into it. But I'm not going to put out there and then have to look these coaches in the face and say, yeah, these computer rankings that we came up with and created. Although we feel they're, we're going to find out how accurate these things are. So judge us at the end of the season. But right now, we think the metrics are pretty good. Here we can't end on this, Drew, though, because the power rankings.
I had one before you get that. I had one.
Oh, yeah, one more? Okay, go ahead. Last one, right?
Strength of schedule. Mississippi Valley State has the toughest strength of schedule according to the BCSN metrics in the SWAC. Followed by Alcorn State and Bethune being 3. Southern, Jackson State, Texas Southern, Grambling State, you are 4 of the bottom 5 that we have for FCSs as far as strength of schedule.
Okay. Let me give one more. We're talking about SWAC as it relates to power rankings. Now, these are metrics that are from Massey, correct?
Correct.
Power rankings, strictly from Massey, not from us. These are Massey rankings. 2 HBCUs outside of the SWAC come in with the highest rankings. That's Tennessee State and North Carolina A&T. The top 2 rated teams in the SWAC, according to Massey, Florida A&M, followed by Florida A&M, followed by Jackson State, followed by Alcorn State.
Yes.
And then followed by, get this, and this sort of goes to your point about will they get over the hump, Bethune-Cookman coming in at number 4. So top 4, according to Massey, again, just in the SWAC, not all HBCU, just in the SWAC, Florida A&M, Jackson State, Alcorn State, and Bethune. All right, Drew, let's put a bow on this because we got into a healthy, plenty of discussions today. Appreciate everybody's interactions on Facebook and on YouTube. Give a thumbs up on your way out the door as we get ready to conclude. We want to encourage you, be looking out for our extended coverage of SWAC Media Day. I told our producer I'm up for doing a morning show. So you may see me real early in the morning. Good morning with the SWAC. I think that's the name I'm going to go with that show. It may be a 7 a.m. Just give me a cup of coffee, a good everything bagel, and a piece of fruit. And I think I can power through a couple hours of morning talk to kind of get everybody ready. I know Doc will probably do something prior to as well. We may transition from me to Doc. 11 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 11 o'clock Central. Or no, 10 Central, 10 Central, 11 Eastern is when the actual ESPN portion begins, which means we'll probably transition to a little bit of that. And then what you'll see is maybe about 10:30 Central Time, we'll start with our sort of live interviews with some of the coaches and players. And if I'm not mistaken, you'll see everybody from me. You will or will not be there. You.
As of right now, I plan to be.
Okay. I know you'll see Dr. Cuvee, Charles Bishop will be there. Mike Washington, I never know if Mike is. Mike may be on assignment. God knows, but he may not miss it, though.
He may make his assignment there.
Exactly. Don't tell him Mike Washington. Mike Washington may be there, maybe not. I don't know. Carlos Brown will be there. BJ Jones will be there. I think Jamie Walker may be there. So the team BCSN will be there.
Charles Edmond will be there.
Charles Edmond, he'll be there with Alcorn State Sports Radio, and we consider him part of the team. So he'll be there. So BCSN team will be in effect. We'll be there. That's well said.
Faith Daniels will be there also with us.
One of the newer members of the squad. Faith will be there. So yeah, I don't even, like I said, I don't even know how we're gonna make all this work, but we do what we do, and so we'll try to bring you plenty of conversations and get a chance to talk to everybody who's there, and we'll try to have some fun, maybe doing some predictive stuff. And then we'll just kind of go from there, man. So plenty of coverage on Thursday with SWAC
Don't forget about
Media Day beginning. Well, yeah. Okay. I'll let you talk about Wednesday for a second.
Okay.
What's happening Wednesday? Go ahead. I missed the memo on that.
CIAA Media Day from Salem, Virginia. Faith Daniels, along with myself, will be there in Salem, Virginia, and we will do a couple of cut-ins from Salem, Virginia on Wednesday, also with the CIAA Media Day, and I believe that begins at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, if I have my notes correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. So Wednesday,
6 o'clock flight, brother. 6 o'clock flight.
Yeah, so Wednesday, CIAA live coverage. Thursday, the team and the squad will be there in Birmingham for that. So we're looking forward to that as well. All right, Drew, any quick final thoughts, any words before we shut it down and get out of here tonight?
SIAC announced their ESPN network schedule. You could go to SIAC.com to find out when your SIAC school will be on ESPN. The one thing I do like about this, Brian, they have a game on one of the ESPN family of networks every week, all 11 weeks of the season, and all 11 teams are featured at some point in time during the season on ESPN. So good job of spreading the wealth by the SIAC.
Right, and again, yes, it's on ESPN Plus. Most of the games are on ESPN Plus, but if you're one of those people that have ESPN Plus bundled with Disney and Hulu, then you're making out like a bandit, I think. But it is significant that these games, there are not too many Division II schools, Division II conferences, broadcasting their games on the ESPN platform. But it's not the only place you can find.
Two on you. Two of them on you.
Okay.
Everything else is on Plus, except for the conference championship game, which is on 3.
Okay. It's not the only place. Hey, I just got word. Breaking news. Mike Washington will be in the building. So it's official. Dr. Cuvee pointed out Mike will be. I told you
the
Mike will be
lab
there.
will be there.
The whole lab will be there. So I knew Mike wasn't going to miss SWAC Media Day. So that was on the calendar. Gotta love it. So I'm really looking forward to SWAC Media Day. The whole team will be there. So this will be fun. It'll be a fun day.
Hey Brian, is this not the first time where the whole ESPN, BCSN family will actually be in the same place at the same time? Because usually there's one of us always missing. One of us is always missing.
You didn't come to SWAC last year, did you?
Yeah, I had a little small event called a wedding.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, Lord willing, we all make it there safely, and nobody has any issues that
hiccups.
Pop up on us. Yeah, nobody has any hiccups. Everybody gets there safely. To all the other media members that'll be traveling, whether you're traveling to Roanoke, Virginia, whether you're traveling to Birmingham, safe travels. To all of the teams, coaches, players, administrators, SIDs that'll be traveling to these media days, safe travels to you as well. Hopefully we can all bring some interesting content to the fan base, the HBCU diaspora, and we can give the people some information that gets them excited about purchasing season tickets, gets them engaged with their alumni bases, gets them engaged with making plans to travel and see their teams at the various classics, neutral site, road games, so on and so forth. So that is what we hope to accomplish from Media Day, and we hope that you guys appreciate it. We thank you all for watching the show. Thanks to everybody for tuning in and commenting, being a part of the discussion, and interacting with us. Make sure you're following us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at MyBCSN1, the number 1. Go download the Jericho Broadcast Networks app if you would. Just go search in the Google or Apple Play Store, MyJBN, MyBCSN. Hopefully you're already subscribed to our YouTube page, to our Facebook pages, and to the BCSN Pod Zone. All of our podcast shows, all of our shows are in podcast format. Every platform that you use, Spotify, Google, Anchor, iHeart, you can listen, in some cases watch some of our shows, but you can listen to all of the shows in great format and hear the variety of opinions that we have on sports. So that's going to do it for our producer, Melody Lucas. And
switch over to
Drew.
HBCU United on ESPNU. Soon as we click off. HBCU United.
I'm Bryan Fulford. Peace out. Let's root for a win for HBC United. Get win number 2 and get to that championship game of the regionals tomorrow night. That's going to do it for the show. Thanks for watching. Be safe. God bless. Peace out.
But my beats, they are hard.